Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Money and Mindset at 40 Plus. As you can see, I am missing my counterpart, Jenny Mitchell. I am Sylvia, and Jenny is away on training this week, but I have the honor and pleasure of welcoming a guest this week. Welcome, Andra Wochesen from Awaken Your Inspiration. She is based in Toronto. And we are going to be switching tactics today or switching topics. We are delving today in the energy of money. And Andra has a wonderful background, and she'll explain what she believes money to be, what issues her clients have. We're going to delve into some of the modalities that she uses as well, because I do believe money is energy. If I see clients that I work with and people around me, who are just focused on the negative side of money, well, all they're attracting is negative. And I notice with myself, when I'm much more positive about it and going about my tools, my affirmations, money just seems to flow better. And I think Andra is a lot about the flow. So welcome, Andra.
Thanks so much. I'm so happy to be here and connect with you, connect with your audience, and share some hopefully helpful tips for everybody here today.
Yeah, today we are going to give you some tips today as well. 3 ways to increase your income ceiling, which I thought was a great topic, because, and I've done this exercise before with one of my money coaches. She would give a number, and then when we started to feel this feeling come up of like, oh no, I wouldn't be able to make that much a year, that she goes, that's where we have to work to. That's what we're working towards, Sylvia. And I'm like, oh, and that felt very uncomfortable. But as you know, on this show, we're all about getting you, out of your comfort zones. And again, we don't, women in money, we don't talk about it enough. And how did I meet Andra? I met Andra through a mutual client. And Andra, she says, I have my session with my tapping lady. And I was like, what's this tapping lady? Who is this tapping lady that you're talking about? And one of the modalities that you use, I know, and you'll talk about, is EFT. But I would love to hear, as we're starting, is your take on money. How do you perceive money?
Sure. Well, yes, lots of great things that you said there, and I'm sure we'll be weaving all of that in
We will.
today. Yeah. And so, I'm it's all about application and implementation for me for everything. And so when we just learn stuff, that's great. But if we don't actually do something with it, there's not going to be transformation. So I just wanted to start by saying I really invite everybody into that space to allow yourself to step into this in your own whatever situation you're in for yourself, right? So that's not just information for you. And so, I think for me, money really is neutral, right? So that's really how I look at it. And we actually put a lot of things on top of money. It's actually just an exchange, right? It's used as an exchange of value, right? And so when we give value, we receive money, right? It really is quite a simple formula, right? When I give value, I receive value. That's literally all it is. When I want more value given to me in terms of money, then I give more value, right? And giving more value may be serving more people. It may be serving more deeply. I'm going to probably speak more to the income piece of it because that's really the work I do with mostly entrepreneurs. But even if you're not working, or if you're working in a job, or if you are, right, your partner is the wage earner, right, all of this is still applicable to you. But it's really about having kind of a clean slate around money and understanding the energetics of it. And it actually is meant to flow. Everything is meant to flow. We just put all these blocks in the way that stop that flow coming to us. And so those can be thoughts, they can be beliefs, they can be things people have told us. It's often really deeply seated beliefs in what we're capable of, what we're allowed to have in our experience.
Yes. Yeah.
And really, so much of the work I do is about helping people expand their capacity to receive, right? And again, I will say that is a very big woman thing, a female thing, where
Yes.
the receiving piece is not as developed, let's say, or not as focused on, right? Giving is, it's such an easy thing for women to do, to give, to serve, to do that in their family, to do that in relationships, to do that in their business. And then the receiving piece is often very blocked. And in fact, again, we need flow. And if that is blocked, that's not a good thing, right? Even if you're just like an amazing giver and you're giving so much, That's not right, actually.
No, it's
Because
not balanced. It's
it's
not
not.
balanced,
Yeah.
right? The flow has to be back and forth. And I love what you said about, money is neutral.
Mhm.
But if I ask you all to think about, think about something, think about your bank account, what, emotions come up. We attach so much emotion to money, and so much, either it's good or bad, or all those stories that you alluded to, deeply rooted stories. And we've done episodes about that before, so you can go take a look. But those stories they're from when we're little, when we're little. And I know you, with your clients, work at unblocking these stories, identifying them, I would imagine,
Yes,
first,
yes.
and then
Absolutely.
unblocking. Mm.
Yeah, because so we don't have, if we, anything we don't have awareness of, anything that is not conscious to us, we are not able to shift it because it's not in our conscious awareness, right? And so it's really about pulling those unconscious things. They might be very close to the surface, but it's about making them conscious so that you actually can begin to shift them, right? And so a lot of this stuff, a lot of our money stuff isn't necessarily even around money. It can be, but it can be things like, I don't know, you were told to be quiet when you were a kid, or
Yeah.
don't ask for too much, or like children are meant to be seen and not heard, or whatever it is, all of these kinds of things. And that actually translates into how much we value ourselves, how much we ask for, and how much we receive, right? And so, I mean, I could spend like 2 hours going, I mean, I could spend more than that, right? Because we all have,
Yeah.
right? But I'm not gonna, but we all have these unique experiences, right? And so some of them can be very impactful and maybe traumatic in some ways. Maybe there was fighting around money growing up in a very obvious way. But most people, I find, there's a lot of subtlety things, right? And there's not even things that we would, because you download them when you're like 5 or 7 and you're not conscious. You don't know how to make meaning out of it. You just take it
Right.
in and it becomes this blueprint. And this blueprint is what you create from,
Yeah.
right? And so if it's a good blueprint, great. And if it's not, it might need a little bit of retweaking.
And we're also different. If I look at my children, I have 3 kids, and their relationship with money is all different.
Mm,
Same parents, same messaging, same
yeah.
experiences that they are seeing, but they are downloading it differently. So I
Yes.
have one who can't have any money in her wallet. She needs to spend it. She just, has a couple dollars. Oh, let's go to the dipper, the corner store, Then I have another one who really couldn't care less about having it or not. Doesn't need to buy things. He just accumulates it and spends a little bit. And then I have one who is a saver, but has a hard time spending on herself. And it's very interesting to see as they're
Yes.
little. And we're like, oh, as parents, we have to delve into these stories before they become bigger than they need to be as adults.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So interesting. So tell us, I mean, you started to say that, what you're seeing in your clientele about the women that you're working with, the issues. What are some of the modalities? I mentioned that I know you do EFT. If you don't know what that is, perhaps you can explain that and some of the other modalities you use.
Yeah, I mean, I think, as I said, it's about making it conscious. So a lot of the work I do is visualization to help people tap into the subconscious stuff, right? I can do all the mental stuff with people, the mindset stuff. That's great, but we are not just our mind. We actually hold a lot of things in all of our systems, our energy, our physical body, our emotions. So all of the modalities that I use are very integrated so that we can act. We are like multifaceted beings, right? We're not just a head and a mind.
Yeah.
And so it's really about sorting through all of those things. So the visualization allows a lot to come out. The tapping, again, is highly effective. It's actually been scientifically proven to help with things like PTSD. It helps to connect traumatic, and when I say traumatic, like I said, it could be a micro trauma, away from the belief system that we create around it, right? So it actually allows us to disconnect and to neutralize things so that we can then actually make new different choices and actions. And then, a lot of other energetic modalities I use because I really get people to go into their bodies, right? And it's like, because for me, it's all about congruency, right? So if you are like, affirmations are great, but if you are not lined up with that in your physical vessel, your body, right? So if you're saying something and your chest is tight, or you have a pit in the stomach, or you have a belief going like, yeah, that's not happening, right? If all of those things don't line up, that affirmation is actually useless because you're actually vibrating from all the other things, right? It's who you are is what you bring into your experience. So I think it's what I love about what I do is that it's not just one thing that I do. It's about finding where you're blocked and how we can unstick that and bring that to the surface and clear it so that you have actually then, to me, it's about release. And then you have space to expand, right? Then you have space to call in what's next for you, to create what's next, to step into something bigger, to take bolder actions. Yeah, so it's fantastic. I mean, the things I see with people are range anywhere from like obviously income growth, but also to visibility, right? So once we release all of this stuff, people who are scared to maybe be on a video like live are now on stages. I mean, not in a second, obviously, but on big platforms, right?
Yeah. And I'm a poster child for that, because for a while I went to see one of my coaches because I was blocked. I could not get online. I couldn't show my face. I could write because that was hidden, right? And but I said, I know I need to do this. What's blocking me? And oh boy, the stuff that came up was just ooh. And now, you know, as I've said, you know, before on other episodes, here I am hosting these live shows and creating my own platforms and speaking, and it doesn't bother me anymore. But there was work there, and things that I didn't know that I had. I didn't know where the issues were coming from.
Absolutely.
I thought they were one place, but they were actually somewhere else, which was you know, very enlightening.
Yeah.
And I think it's that you alluded to it. It was the finding out, you know, that identity. If it's not in alignment with what you're saying, we can say something, but if we don't actually believe it in our core, then what we're doing won't work.
Yes. If we don't believe it, if our body is saying something totally different, if our nervous system is freaking out, it's not lined up, right? It can't happen. It actually can't come in because it's not lined up. So,
you can say something like, an example would be like, I am wealthy, I'm wealthy. But if inside you're, you know, like, oh my God, I've got all these debt to pay and I got this and I have no idea what to do with my money. You can say I'm wealthy a million times and that's not going to change.
Yeah.
We have to go back to the, you know, that subconscious level and that identity level.
Yes.
So interesting. So what do you mentioned people come to you, of course, increasing money, visibility. Are there other things? I mean, you're also a business coach.
Yeah, yes, it's basically I'm an energetic business and income coach, right? And so I'm doing definitely some of the strategy, getting people into those actions, but really it's about people come to me when they're kind of blocked or they're stuck or they're like, I can't get past this income ceiling. I keep doing all this new stuff and I'm taking all the right actions and I'm not getting new results, or I know I have to take actions and I'm not taking them and I don't know why, right? And so it is this kind of blocked sort of thing. And so it's really about helping people release that so that they are then, resistance is gone. They are showing up. They are taking actions. They're doing more bold things, which then result in new opportunities, new income, new clients, right? All of that external stuff comes once we release this sort of these limiting, again, it's not just limiting beliefs, but it's vows. It's things that we've kind of bought into. I don't know if you mind if I'll share a quick little story.
Yes, of course. Tell us your story. We're all about stories here. Okay, we want to hear.
You know, it's something that I didn't share for the longest time because I'm like, it's just, you know, it doesn't seem that like amazing of a story, or it seems like I didn't have this horrible childhood or I didn't have this horrible thing. But I really realize it's my story, and when I share it, people can so relate to it. So I love sharing it now. So basically, for me, again, this is something I uncovered through this work, but so I wasn't conscious then, of course. So when I was about in grade 6, maybe, so, yeah, I think it was grade 6, I was kind of standing out. I was shining. I was winning awards. I was doing great things, right? I kind of was shiny at that time in my life. I didn't really think a ton of it. It just was like, this is who I am. This is what I'm doing. And I remember I won a couple of awards on the second last day of school, which I was grateful for. And I was like, oh, that's, you know, really, I'm happy, right? I'm happy. And I'm also like a kid and I'm going to go play in the park, right? And so the next day I had a couple of friends who usually walk to school with me, but only one came. And I just said, you know, where's the other one? And she said, she doesn't want to walk with you, or she doesn't want to hang out with you. She thinks you think you're so great. And so, so at the time, I mean, it turns out that one of the awards I had won, it was like, there was nominations and someone who didn't receive it. I don't know, said something like I said, oh, it's too bad we all can't be winners, or something ridiculous.
Yeah,
that I would
11.
Never, I know,
I would have never,
11. Yeah, I would never have said that. But I remember in the moment. And so I remember it being like a punch in the gut. Like it just took me off guard. But I remember making a very conscious choice, which now I know is kind of like a vow. And I was going to a new school in grade 7, and I just said, you know what? Like in my internal mind, I'm like, you can't stand out or people aren't going to like you.
They won't
And
like
so
you.
and so that as a kid, right, that's what I'm thinking as I'm 12 or 11. And so then I go to the new school and I literally would just sort of step out of the spotlight, right? Or or compliments were directed at me, I would deflect them.
Yeah.
Right. And so that became all of this sort of subtle pattern, which kind of followed me for like 30 years, like not in a crazy way, but just kind of like, oh, here, you go first, or you be in the spotlight, or I'm just going to be over here. When actually I was called to be bigger than I basically kept myself smaller than I actually was. And so then, of course, that translated to business and all of that. Right. And so it's really that understanding the power of something so seemingly subtle, just that experience. But I do remember that came to my mind, one day in like a visualization or something.
Yes. Yes.
And it
When
was
you were,
like, it was literally like, I remember thinking, people aren't going to like you if you stand out or if you do good things. Right. And so as a kid, it was just like, well, I want to be liked. Right. Like that's right. That's
well,
my
it's
number
one
one.
of our main fears, right?
Yes.
As
Yeah.
people, is fear of rejection, fear of
Yes.
abandonment, and fear of incompetency. Those are,
Yes.
and being rejected by our peers, by our family, by our friends is huge, and that's one of the things we talk about a lot on this show. So not showing up, and
Mm-hmm.
that moment, what is a small, minute thing turning into quite it's large in the end. It is.
Yes.
It
Yes.
shaped who you are. It shaped who you
Yes.
were,
Yeah.
because you're not that anymore.
Yes, exactly. But I had to pull that up, look at it, release it, do all that work so that I actually can be the center of attention. I can be
Right.
on a stage with a spotlight on me, right? Right. And so it's like releasing all of that. So I actually show up like shiny, right? And it's still my work, right? We all have our little areas. And so for me, it's like I can feel that's my ceiling, right? It's like, okay, I'm on all these podcasts, I'm on summits, I'm on stages, great. And then if there's something that's going to be a little bigger, I can feel that I'm going to have to work through that ceiling, right, to get to that other side for myself, right?
Well, thank you for sharing that story. If you have questions for Andra, please put them in the comments. We want to know, what is this bringing up for you? Are you someone who believes money is energy? Do you do your own energy work? I do a lot of energy work and I love it. It's just part of who I am, and I really look forward to it. It allows to ground me, whether it be my oracle cards, my affirmations, my visualizations. But I love what Andra said in her work. It is also about inspired action, because we can say I'm wealthy a million times, but if we don't do the work behind it, and if you don't dig up these stories to work on them, it's really hard to move past them. Now, when we're talking income ceilings, do you notice in your practice, are there any, like if we put a number to it, are there plateaus where women get stuck, do you feel?
I wouldn't say specific numbers, no,
Okay.
right? Because I work with like people who are just starting out in business. I work with 6-figure business owners. So it really just depends on where they are. But you know where your ceiling is because it's what you made last year or it's what you made last month or whatever, right? And so it's not about, because it's never about that, right? It's all about our own. And not everybody wants to be 6 figures, and some people do, right? It's about finding what is. You might be at a certain level and it feels great. And so great. You don't actually have to do anything, right? But if you're at a certain level and you're like, you know what? I feel like I'm really good at what I do, or I'm at a certain level and this doesn't actually feel good anymore. It doesn't feel like my soul is saying like, you know what? This isn't lining up with the value that I'm giving. And so that's what you'll feel, is that sort of internal resistance or like unease, and it's like, okay, this is actually not good anymore, and then that is where you want to break through that, right?
That's right. And I love Laura. She says, I've always done energy work, but only recently realized its connection to money. And that's a great, once we do realize that connection, things just take off. I know in my own experience they have. So you have some exercises, Andra, that you'd like to take us through, and
Sure.
I thought that would be great for our listeners today. So I'm just going to let you tell us, guide us. I think we need pen and paper. Was that right?
Yes.
Did we need some pen and paper? Because it's all about action. You can listen to this podcast, this episode on YouTube, and watch us do it, but that won't get you any further. So inspired inspired action today.
Yeah.
So I have my pen and paper. So
okay, awesome.
I am listening.
Okay, great. So I'm going to go through 3 different things with you just because I wanted to give you some tangible things to do. 2 of them are going to be kind of the outer work, actually. Like I'm an inner work expert, I guess, but I'm all about using that to get into outer action, right? We can't just sit in a bubble and do inner work and expect things to change. So I'm actually going to start with the 2 outer actions, and then I'll talk about the inner piece. So number 1, and this is like the least sexy piece of all of this, and probably there could be resistance to it, but I'm going to say it's so key. You need to know your numbers. You need to be conscious of what your numbers actually are. I see this so much. I ask people, I'm like, so what are you earning? What's your income? Well, I'm not really sure. Or what is your income after your expenses? Or what is your income after taxes? All of those kinds of things. We actually need to know what we won't know what our ceiling is if we actually don't know what our numbers are. So that's the first thing I'm going to invite you to do. So whether, again, I'm going to speak to like an entrepreneur, but of course, if you're in a career and you don't have some of these things, that's okay, right? But it's like you want to know what your revenue is, right? What are you generating? What are your expenses, right? And what does that look like? And what are you paying to taxes? And then what does that leave you at the end of the month or the end of the year? And I'm a super big fan of monthly focuses, and I'm going to speak to that here. I mean, I'm going to guide you in a monthly focus because it's current, right? When we are big year picture, it's fine to have that, but we can be very detached from it. And in terms of, it's hard to even know if we're making the progress, right? And as well, we are also evolving and growing, right? And so just to have that finite end goal is actually limiting us, right? So if we are kind of making, if we're making a goal of like, I want to earn, okay, I'm going to say 100,000 this year, right? And so, but then you're doing all this inner work and you're doing these outer actions, you actually might be able to get to 150, right? So you actually don't want to be limiting yourself. So you maybe your first month, my goal is to get to 6,000, right? And then so once I have broken through that ceiling, then I'm going to go to 7, then I'm going to go to 8, right? And so, right, or more, or double that. It's hard to say what it is. So I will really recommend that you do it on a monthly basis. So that is like really number 1, and that might take you some time, but please do it, right? You really can't grow from a non-solid foundation. You have to actually know where you are, to know what your ceiling is, and then it's not always pretty to look at, or it might be like, oh shit, I'm earning the same as I did last year. I thought I was earning more, right? It can be a rude awakening, and it's also so important that we are accountable and responsible and making things conscious, right? So that is the part 1A. And then part 1B is I want you to write down an income goal that you have for yourself. So, I mean, you can do it for the rest of this month, or you can do it for October, whatever you want. So I want you to write down on your piece of paper right now what it is that you want to earn. And I want it to, I mean, I don't want it. I'm encouraging it to be a stretch goal for you, right? So if it's like, you're like, oh, for sure, I know I can get to 4,000, then make it higher, right? So we want to be having something that pulls us. So if we set a low goal, we will often achieve. It's what I see all the time. People either set goals that are too low, or they set I'm going to say ridiculous. It's not that we can't, but from an energetic state, if you're earning $2,000 a month and you want to earn 50, energetically, it's not there. The framework is not there for you to do it, right? I'm not going to say it's totally impossible. You would have to do so much inner work and so much uncomfortable, bold actions like 24/7, right? So
yeah, we often don't have the structures in our business. If we're just making, if we are making, I won't use the word just, but if we're making 2,000, we may not have the structures in place to be making, or all the programs needed, or yes, I get it.
But I want to say the energy piece is key, right? So even if you have all the things, if your container, energetic container right now is $2,000, and if you're wanting to get to a $50,000 energetic container, you got to do a lot of energy shifting, and elevating, and have the matching outer structures that will support that. So again, I don't want to you get to choose what your goal is, but it's just something I'm offering. If it's so out of reach, or again, we're not congruent with it, it's not going to happen, and then you're just going to feel bad that you didn't get it. So
So a monthly, we're fixing a monthly, so everyone write that down. They've probably already done it. A monthly goal, let's say for October, that feels stretched. Yes,
good.
And Stacy says here, make stretch goals and believe you can do it. Yes.
Awesome.
And
awesome.
Do the work to get there.
Yeah. And so even in this moment, I'm just going to say, if there's something that has come up right now, just as you write that goal, just capture it, right? If you're like, that's a load of crap. That's not going to happen. Or if you start to feel like tension in your stomach, right? Just capture these things, right? So again, I'm going to combine a little bit of the inner peace. Just look, actually, I'm going to give you this. So look at your income goal for a minute. Everybody focus on your paper, or if you're not writing it, close your eyes, visualize it in your mind. And I just want you to notice the first thought that comes up. And then I actually want you to notice what the first feeling is. So feeling is a feeling, right? It's not mental. It's like anxious, excited, I don't know, doubt, right?
Fear.
Yeah,
I have a bit
right?
of fear coming up.
Yes. So you write
panic.
that down. And then I also want you to write down what the last thing I want you to notice is where you feel that in your body. So go back into the feeling piece, and it's going to show up somewhere, right? It's going to be in your shoulders, your neck, your solar plexus, your heart, your belly. It could be anywhere, really. It's probably not going to be in your feet, but so just notice where that is and capture that, right? Again, so this is just so then the next piece around this, just that this is still number one, post that goal. Post it somewhere where you can see it every day. And what it's going to do is allow you to, call it in, and it's also going to bring up the crap, right? I'm all about bringing up the crap. So, right, it's going to bring up, like, some days you're going to look at it and you're going to be like, yes. And then you can just go into action. Other days you're going to be like, there's no freaking way this is happening, right? Or it's like, I don't deserve, whatever you notice coming up, start capturing it, right? So you can journal around it. You can tap around it. There's things that you can do to release it. But first thing is to make it conscious, right? So that you're starting to build that congruency, right?
Yeah, love it. Love
Okay,
it.
good.
I got my goal. I got
Good.
it.
Okay, number two is stretch actions. So in order to reach a new breakthrough, new income ceiling, we actually have to have different actions. So I'm going to give you two things, and I realize timing is shorter here, so I'll go a little bit quicker. So number one, I want you to write down, just maybe in this moment, 3 to 5 actions that you're taking right now, currently in your, again, I'm going to speak to business, so I apologize if not everybody's in business, but that's kind of how I work. So I'm going to do that for now. So 3 to 5 actions that you're taking now. And then what I'd love for you to do is circle the 1 or 2 that are generating results for you, right? So we can be doing a lot of things. We don't always have to be doing a lot of things, for one, but it's really about getting clear on the things that are working for you in terms of exposure, income, client generation, income generation, right? So just take a moment. Again, if you do this after, that's fine, but write 3 to 5 down and then circle the 1 or 2. And then that's list number 1. List number 2 is I want you to come up with, let's say, 3 in this moment. 3 actions that you kind of know of, but you haven't taken yet, or you see Sylvia doing a YouTube and you're like, I think I could do that, but I'm kind of scared to do that, or I've never done that before. So you want it to be something that you're intrigued by, not something that maybe scares you and that pushes you out of your comfort zone, for sure. There should be a little bit of like, there's a reason you haven't done it before, right? And so I would love for you to write down, 1 to 3 things in this moment. You can keep adding to that. So just think of people you admire, things, or you've been wanting to do this, you've been wanting to start a podcast, you've been wanting to.
It always comes up. I have clients, Andrew, who always say, well, I know I should be doing more video, or I should be doing a blog. And I was like, well, I don't like the word should. Let's take that away. But that could be somewhere. If you've ever found yourself saying that, that is a little inkling, I think, to, where you you could start.
Yes. Because it's and I'm going to say, should is crap, right? That's no good. It's no good. It's a bad energy. It's nothing good about it. And it's like, there are things that I'm a little drawn to, right? And there's things that you're not. And so that's okay. You don't have to, if you're not drawn to it, there's a reason. But it's, those things that are like, I'm nervous to go on camera, but I love seeing Sylvia every week. And I love how I'm like, I think I could do that, right? And so that is what you want to be putting on your list. So then I want you to circle 1 right now that you are going to bring into your plan for the next month. So you have basically 1 or 2 things on your current actions that are working really well for you that you're going to continue. The other stuff, just put it like off to the side. Doesn't mean you're not going to do it. And then you're going to have 1 new stretch action, new action, pull forward action. Okay.
New things, evolving, telling the
things
universe that I'm ready for more.
Yes.
Right?
New things, new results, right?
Yeah.
We have to do that. And then the third piece Do you want me just to say this, or you want me to
Yes,
do like
no,
a 30?
go ahead, go ahead.
I'm just trying to be mindful of your
Oh,
time.
yes, I know. It's recorded. If you have to jump off, you jump off and come catch the replay. But go ahead. We're listening.
Okay, because I think this is so great to have an embodied experience. So I'm going to invite you to close your eyes in this moment if you can. So I want you to just take a moment to let this mental stuff that I just shared with you just go away for a second. And then maybe just nod your chin to your throat. So I'd love you to see yourself now walking into an auditorium. And this auditorium is now filled with, it could be family and friends, but it's often filled with your ideal clients, collaborators, team members, people that you want to have in your business. And again, if you don't have a business, then make it like your colleagues, your boss, right? You can modify this. And this audience that's packed, and so you get to sort of notice what comes up. It could be an audience of 50, it could be 5,000, right? So just notice. So you're going to walk up onto the stage. There's a stage there with a microphone and a spotlight, and there's also a whiteboard. So I'd like you to write on that whiteboard your income goal for October, right? That you have. So just visualize yourself doing that really big. Write it really big. I want you to walk up to the microphone, look out at the audience, really take them in, feel the spotlight on you, point to the whiteboard, point to that income. I want you to say into the microphone, I am awesome at what I do. And so you can say this out loud in your home if you want. I would recommend it. And I deserve to be well paid for it. I want you to say that either right in your head out loud, but it's definitely good out loud. And you can always go back and do this. And I want you to stay with the eyes closed. I just want you to notice what is happening in the audience, right? How is the audience reacting to you? What do their faces look like? What's the energy in the room? Are they laughing, smiling, talking to each other? Arms crossed? What does their body language look like? Cheering? Just notice. And I'm going to ask you just in this moment, if there's lots of good things happening, fantastic. But I want you to scan and see if you can find at least one joker there who's not in line with you and who maybe has a neutral face or arms crossed or talking to someone. I just want you to see if you can find a few of these things. Just notice them. You can capture them later. And then I just want you to spend one moment now just checking in with your own physical self on the stage. How do you look as you said this? How do you feel in your body? And how are you responding to how they are responding? And so just take a moment. I'm going to give you like 20 more seconds. Just think of this as an excavation, right? We're actually looking for the good stuff is great. Notice the good stuff for sure. And then also notice anything that feels not as good, right? That's the piece that we do want to pull up. And then just when you're ready, you can slowly bring yourself back into your present body. You might even notice your present body has some stuff going on. So you might notice that. And just feel the chair beneath you. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And again, I would invite you to capture anything that came up for you. You may have got a visual. You may have gotten just a sense, right? So we don't always, when we visualize, it's not always like words that come up, but it might just be a feeling or a sense. And so what I'm going to propose to you is this really is your this is a projection, right? There's no audience. There is no audience, right? You just literally did this in your mind. Yeah. And so what you witnessed is a reflection of what's happening within you. And again, if it was all good, I call bullshit, because unless you are fully exactly where you want to be in your income, and if you are, you're probably not on this call, right? So I would just invite you. The good stuff is great. Again, it's not that I want to diminish that. It's just if we really want to break through to the next level, there's something we need to break through, right? And so that's really what we're looking for here. And so it could be like 98% of your audience was like clapping. I mean, I've had so many. The first time I did this, my audience, no, it wasn't my audience. I literally disappeared on this. Yeah. And so that kind of
there was a shoot and then you just
I just vanished.
Right?
You vanished. The longer I stood there and was in this, right? Anyway, so I just wanted to give you, you literally, I do this all the time. I do this before talks. I do this before presentations. And then just the last piece that I would say is whatever you got from that, that's information, right? It's right. And so expand the good stuff. And then the other piece, you can journal around it. You can unpack it if you want. Tapping, again, I'm not going to go into it right now, but you can do EFT. If anybody wants to learn a little bit more about that, I have free gifts, which I can just share at the end, right? Where you can actually go into that. But you want to actually do something with that information. Again, all of this is like implementation. So implementation in terms of outer actions as well as cleaning up. I mean, to me, I'm always like clean as you go, right?
Yeah,
And
no,
so
I love that exercise. What an amazing, I've not done that one before. I'm
yeah.
thinking my goal wasn't high enough. That's what
Ah,
I got out of it. But I was breathing very shallowly. I
mhm.
wasn't breathing deeply. I realized that I kind of holding my breath. So there's that physical side of things. I hope you
Yeah.
all like that exercise. I'm going to redo that one. Uh,
Yeah.
definitely. And that's, and your other tips as well. Andra has a Facebook group that she does do some tapping. I've not done tapping before, but I've joined her group recently, and she every do you do it every? I don't know if you do it every week, but in your group you do have some tapping exercises. You have a freebie, a download as well, where it takes you through a little mini course, which I truly enjoyed. And if you would like to learn more, I invite you. What is the name of your group?
So the group is called Prosper Through Your Purpose, and I do Facebook Lives actually every week at this time, except for today because I'm
Yes,
here.
today
So I told my
totally
group,
on your
to
group.
come and watch. Yeah. So yeah, I will do inner strategies, outer strategies. It's some of my it's some good stuff on Thursdays.
Yes.
It's packed full of stuff. When sometimes it's the inner shifting and sometimes it's strategy, right? So it's a mix of things. So I'd love to have you there. And if you go to my website, which is awakenyourinspiration.com, you can opt in for my Money Blocks e-course, which is a 4-module course over a week where it's video course. So I actually take
Yeah, it
you
was
through.
great. We did the tapping. Like I
Thanks.
said, I've
Yeah.
not done it before. So it's
Yeah.
yeah,
So those are free resources.
wonderful.
So I invite you to step into that if it feels good for you. And yeah, really understand, I think, that all of this is process, all of this is evolution and growth. And so, yeah, I truly believe we're all meant to grow and expand, right? And so I think, our income is just a part of that, right? And so to have our income grow, we have to grow and expand as well.
Yeah, and it joins what Stacy's saying. I've been learning that our thoughts and energy affect who we and what actions we take. Changing mindset and actions change your outcome, and
Mm,
doing things differently, which is what the exercises you took us through, right? Is
mhm.
was seeing ourselves up leveling, increasing that ceiling that we might be experiencing for a long time. Well, thank you so much. I know we've taken some of your lunchtime more than usual, but it's so amazing. It's a topic that I can really talk about, all day long. I think that's what you and I said before.
Yeah.
We could talk. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Andra, for joining us. I invite you all to look at her Facebook page and her group. We are live every Thursday at 12 p.m. and yeah, I invite you next week. Jenny will be back, and we are going to be talking about how to price your services in alignment with who you are and what you want in life. So that is something that a lot of women have problems with. Pricing their products. We often underprice, just so you know. So thank you so much, Andra.
Thank you. It was great to be here. It sounds like a great topic next week. And yeah, love being a part of places where we're growing and expanding, and especially as women. I think it's so important.
It is. Have a wonderful week, everybody. Catch you next week. Bye-bye.